entire Out of Our Minds tour, 17 countries in 7 weeks, might have been one of my favorite tours of my entire 15 years in music. And so many reasons for that, but mainly because it was my first international tour as a very independent artist. Before, when I was with Hole or with the Smashing Pumpkins or even with my first solo record, there was always a bigger machine, whether it was Virgin Records or Geffen Records or EMI Records, but there was always a much bigger machine behind the tour, and this one was so intimate and so independent, and it made me appreciate life and music so much more than I ever have. And after 15 years of making music, instead of it becoming more normal, it became more magical. And that was the best part about the Out of Our Minds tour, and that I got to go to countries I had never been to. Although I've done many international tours, I went to Poland, to Czech Republic, and to Turkey, which are places I had never had the opportunity to go to. And I got to go back to familiar places like Italy and London and Holland and feel this and see the same people again, you know, 10, 15 years later. I mean, pretty much the Out of Our Minds tour, even though sometimes it was 7 shows in a row and one of the most tiring things I have done in a long time, it was the release and the reward for working so hard on my first independent multimedia project. So when the tour finished in the end of December, I ended 2010 maybe one of the happiest I've ever been, because I felt like I accomplished something really creative, really personal, and really international all at the same time. We only have played 1 show of this new tour. This tour is very, very experimental and different for me. It's much, it may be inspired by the Out of Our Minds tour. The Out of Our Minds tour was so long and so loud and so intense, because I felt like it was like a survival, a fight to share. This is much more relaxed and intimate, and musically, I can't tell you even what's going to happen tonight. We've only played 1 show of it. It's no drums, it's lots of synthesizers, bass, guitar, but very atmospheric and very quiet. And I wanted to begin a new chapter in places that I love and trust, like Italy and Switzerland, and Germany and London, England, where we're doing, it's a very short tour, 2 weeks, and I wanted to experiment with new textures and a new exchange with the audience, and try it in places that I feel very comfortable and I feel appreciated. So I don't know what it will sound like, but it sounds very new wave, new age, atmospheric, and it's very pleasant to try something new and not really know where it's going. So it's, for me, a very different kind of reward, but very, very exciting too. So the visual accompaniment to the show is imagery from Out of Our Minds, the music videos and the film, but reinterpreted by another artist, a group from Montreal called Fou Malade, which in French means crazy sick. And they're 3 very, very talented young video artists who are a non-profit art organization, actually. They're very, very, they have a lot of integrity, and they really do it just for the art, not for commercial. So Tony Stone, who created Out of Our Minds, the film and the music videos with me, just gave them a hard drive with the whole uncut, rough edits of all of our worlds of imagery that we created over the course of a couple years, and just gave them the footage and asked them to interpret it in their own world. So it's more atmospheric, psychedelic, and then with the bass, synth, and visuals tour that we're doing right now in May, I had started working on some themes of outer space and fire and new elements, sort of extending from some of the symbols that I was playing with and using and out of our minds, but it's a new chapter, and so it's more outer space philosophical perhaps. So there's some interludes with audio accompaniment that sort of where the band, we just stop playing and the video takes dominance. So I created a couple of atmospheric sort of new songs, but they're more experimental things that have a video that go with it, and so it comes in and out throughout the show. This new chapter that this tour is inspired by, and the beginning of a new sonic direction, is I've all of a sudden have 2 new synthesizers, and I'm really excited to make more thick layers and synth pads. And as a old-fashioned rock music person, I think that maybe I didn't go to the synth. I always had a little bit of synths on my first 2 records, but I feel that now I'm going to go into more of an experimental side of myself musically, and the synths will help me not only respect the dreams, like in David Lynch films, but also open up my songwriting, so it's not so like guitar, bass structured. I like this idea of more no timeline, because when you play the guitar and the bass, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. When you have drums, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. Whereas synths can just be like, it can be forever. So after this tour, I will begin a new writing process. It might take 6 months, might take a year, might take 2, I don't know. I have to wait for the music to tell me how quickly it will come. So I will spend very relaxing. What I enjoy doing is, after doing an intensive couple of years on one project outside, touring and working with people, then I like to go inside and spend a couple of quiet years at home. So that's what I'm going to do, and that's also why I've created this factory project of creating an art center that I can collaborate with people at home. And I don't have to come to Rome, although I like to come to Rome, but I can work at home on some projects too, and also be building a music studio in this factory.